Steve Sadwick, Assistant Town Manager for the town of Tewksbury, and this video will be a brief presentation on the proposed zoning bylaw update project. So the contents of this video are how uses are regulated in the proposed bylaw, features of the proposed bylaw, and then differences between the current bylaw and the proposed bylaw. So how uses are regulated in the proposed bylaw shows up here in section 5.4.3, which talks about use regulations. There are these 4 uses that are allowed or permitted in all districts, namely federal government uses, state government uses, municipal uses, and then those uses that are exempt under the State Zoning Act. Section 5.4.2 are prohibited uses, and there are 2 general items here. You can see item A, which basically says if a use is not listed in Appendix A, which is the use table, then it shall be deemed prohibited. And then item number B talks about uses that pose or present potential hazard to human health, safety, welfare, or the environment are prohibited. And then there is a list of specifically prohibited uses, and there's 19 in total, and those are a carryover from the existing bylaw with the addition of retail marijuana sales, which is not allowed currently in the current bylaw, but will be called out in this section of the proposed zoning bylaw. So Appendix A is the table of uses, and it designates the uses that are allowed in what district and by what means. An N represents a use that's not allowed in a specific district. A Y represents a use that is allowed by right in a district. PB represents a use allowed by a special permit from the planning board, and an SP represents a use that is allowed by a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. In some instances, a Y, or yes, may require a site plan review by the planning board dependent upon certain criteria found in section 3.6.2. Differences between the current and proposed zoning bylaw is that in the proposed zoning bylaw, there's the introduction of site plan review. There's an increase in the number of uses defined in the use table from 77 to 90 uses listed. The proposed zoning bylaw caps multifamily projects to 7 units per acre, with the exception of the town center district. Today, we do not have that. We have overlay districts where there are no caps that exist on the densities. The proposed bylaw expands housing for older adults, those in congregate residence, assisted living, continuing care, and long-term care are listed out in the zoning bylaw. Retail in the proposed zoning bylaw is broken out by size of store. New and used auto sales are separated and treated differently under the proposed zoning bylaw. There's an expanded pet services section, which would include veterinarian services, pet services, and kennel services, all as separate uses and treated differently in different districts. And then again, the proposed zoning bylaw addresses adult use recreational marijuana for cultivation, manufacturing, and research. That would show up in the proposed table of uses, and we do not have that currently today in the table of uses in the existing zoning bylaw. So here's an example of a proposed use table, which shows how it's laid out. This has 2 different main categories on this page, one being conservation and recreation, and there's a number of different uses there listed on the left-hand column, and then across the top you see the districts, and those are in green. So F is farming, R40 is single-family residential, MF is multifamily. You go down with the use to the district, and you find out what the symbol is there. As I had stated earlier, the symbols are N, Y, SP, and PB. And down towards the end of that slide, there's a section A2 residential, and it just shows you, again, 3 different types of residential uses and how they would be allowed in the different zoning districts. Moving forward, these are 3 dates that we would like the public to pay attention to. February 19th is the close of the warrant for articles for the annual town meeting. April 26th is the planning board's public hearing, which is tentatively scheduled, and then May 5th is the annual town meeting. This last slide has contact information, and we encourage the public to look to the town's website, namely the Zoning Bylaw Committee's page, where the bylaw and the map are posted, and then for any additional questions, contact information is provided on this slide. Thank you.